arm chair? You want to sit with me? You want to sit with me or you want your own chair? You can't sit now.
What?
You want to sit with me or you want to sit your own chair?
I don't care.
Your own chair. All right, you sit in this one right here. Right here. Right next to me. Right here. Look on point. Right there. There you go. All right, let me open this little Nutella snack thing and then you can go. Maybe you won't crawl underneath the thing this time. There you go. All right, what do y'all want to talk about?
Have you taught Caleb to count to 200 yet?
Can you count to 200? No, that's probably an honest answer. Good job.
Well, if he can't, what's it been like for you counting to 200?
You know what? I do think that having to work as hard as I had to work for it made me savor it that much more, you know. There was a time where I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep going, you know, or if they were going to even let me keep going. But I'm sure glad I got to, and glad I turned things around as of late. Try to, you know, maybe make some adjustments, figure out how to pitch with the stuff I'm working with. So, but that's one of the most fun games I've ever pitched in my whole life. You know, certainly will go down as a top 3 moment for me ever. You know, baseball wise. So. Glad I got to do it here in front of our fans.
Well, you told us several times you thought you were close, your pitch here or there, or away from getting out of it, weak contact here or there. Did you feel like you could summon it one more time? Like,
Yeah.
Did it feel in the middle of the game, hey, I've got this, I've got something special working?
Yeah, and I felt, I haven't really, the last couple of times I felt like I was better with execution and in those big spots. And tonight when Ollie came out in the 6th, or was that the 7th? 7th. He said, you want this batter? I said, yeah, I think you should give it to me. And he goes, all right, you got the rest of this inning. But, you know, at that spot, I felt in control, and I felt like I was going to get out of there. And I felt like I wanted me out there, you know. There was some notion that I had that I might try to pitch that whole game. But, you know, I think Ollie made the right decision.
I said you thought you were held together with duct tape before the game, but it was still on.
Yep, I did. Yeah, that's been a duct tape kind of year for me. I've had my arm taped a few times. Tonight I had my back taped up. You know, it's been really tough. It's everything. You know, when I'm healthy and going full steam, I can pitch pretty good. You know, I'm just I'm very confident, still confident that I could do that if I was healthy. But I've not been healthy all year. You know, the times that I've felt like I was healthy or getting there, I think it was really just me trying to talk myself into it, you know. But I think that's plain to see. I'm not telling anything to y'all that you don't already know, but I am somewhat proud of the fact that it's hard to keep this guy down, you know. I'm proud. Every time I got knocked down, I got back up, and I got knocked down a bunch. I had to get back up a bunch, and you know what I had? I had incredible family behind me. I had incredible teammates and coaching staff behind me that lifted me up and encouraged me the whole time. Never let me get down on myself. I don't even know how many texts I got after games where I was just feeling the lowest of lows. And a teammate would text me, hey, we believe in you. We know you're going to finish strong and you're going to help us win games. You know what that does for your mind? That's an incredibly powerful thing. And there's an incredible group of guys in that clubhouse that have helped me right along the way, and there's just no doubt that, you know, I'm living prayer to prayer out there, you know, not even pitch to pitch, just prayer to prayer. And I know Goldie has told me several times that he stays in prayer while I'm out there pitching, you know, just praying for me, trying to finish the job. And I've just got such a great support staff.
Yeah, and you got your first win in this stadium, 2006, the stadium's first year, your first full year in the majors. Now, 18 seasons later, here we are. Can you put into words what home, the stadium means to you, and being able to accomplish this in this stadium?
Yeah. Well, that's why I waited too long. You know, I mean, 200 on the road wouldn't have been as fun, you know, so I felt like I timed it out now. Being able to do it here in front of our home crowd was incredibly special. You know, I had an idea of coming to the park today that I was going to let everything I had, you know, I was going to lay it all out there because I really wanted it to happen here. I was confident that if it didn't, it was going to happen in San Diego the next time, and that just doesn't have as good a ring to it. I'm glad I got to go out there and embarrass myself crying like a baby on the field. You know what? I'm not embarrassed at all, actually. I was happy, and I was proud, and I was overwhelmed, and the crowd was unbelievable tonight. I felt them cheering on every pitch I made, and every big strikeout, and every big, we had a couple of double plays there, and the crowd was just going crazy. They were on their feet all night, and I felt that.
What did it mean for you to have Wilson call the game he did and come up with a big hit like he did?
Wilson did unbelievable tonight, and he and I have really grown closer through the years as far as, and not off the field. He and I are real close off the field, but he and I have grown closer in the way we think while I'm out there pitching. And you want to sit with me now, bud? Okay, that's good. I want you to sit. Oh, thank you. Thank you, buddy. But he and I are really starting to mesh out there, and actually he and Kiz have both done great jobs for me. I'm a little sad that my buddy Yachty couldn't be here tonight, but you know what? I was glad I got to pitch to Wilson. He did an incredible job, and he's had some really big hits for us down the second half. I mean, he's gotten comfortable here. I think he was pressing a little early. Probably wanted to make such a good impression that he was pressing a little bit. I think he'd tell you that. But the more comfortable he's got wearing the birds on the bat and in our clubhouse, and guys being able to talk to him, and he's really done a great job. I'm so glad he's here.
Can you describe the second at bat by Roddy Tellez, the 9-pitch at bat, and sort of what that is in a lot of ways where this game turns for you, whether you get through 5, whether you get through shutout, and what you're able to do with your pitches there, how much that's maybe illustrative of what you're working with?
Yeah. Well, he and I have had a lot of good battles through the years. And I knew I had some different things to show him. He'd not seen me drop down at all. He's not seen me with different angles. I used to pitch him in quite a bit and then down and away some, but always curving. But and see, we could talk about scouting reports now because I don't even care anymore. I'll never face Rowdy Tellez again.
I've waited since 2005 to ask that.
Yeah. So, but I knew I was kind of working this little 4-seam cutter down and away to him, coming back to the plate, and I'd already thrown that a couple of times to him. I got him out the time before with it, striking him out on the 3-2 count, and I knew if I threw one that started down the same tunnel and then sank away from him, I'd have a good chance to get him out there with how many pitches he'd seen, and I had him in swing mode. So I love that. I love pitching like that, like just that chess match behind it. That's true pitchers love that stuff.
What do you think it was with? We all chronicled and we asked you about 11 starts between 198 and 199. What was it? Do you think about sniffing 200? Was it that it was going to be here? What were the elements? Was it against?
Well, I went. You know what's funny? 11. I went on a 11-game no-win stretch last year too, if I'm not mistaken. I pitched a lot better though. Some of those weren't my fault, but this year, a couple of times I just showed up and just, usually I'm really locked in mentally going into a game, but sometimes I showed up in such a bad physical way that it just made it really tough, really, really tough. And I would go out there and try to find a way, and I just wasn't able to, and tried to do some new things pregame or whatever it was, and for a while there it was just. Man, it was just really hard. It was impossible for me, almost. So we overcame those, started feeling a little better and made some great adjustments in the training room and weight room. And all those guys have been incredible, though. My trainers and weight staff, the weight training staff, those guys have just bent it over backwards to try to help me get here.
How has Wilson improved as a pitch caller from April to now?
Well, I think what it is more than anything is just getting familiar with his pitchers, and how they like to use sequencing and counts, and that's going to help him for the next 4 years here. He's going to be great working with these guys, and I just think it's just being comfortable with each other. He had a group of guys that he was real comfortable with in Chicago, and then he came here and had to learn everybody all over again. So, and then we've had kind of a revolving door in there with a lot of pitchers this year too. So it hasn't been the easiest for him, but I think he's doing great.
He only has been a Cardinal 1 year, but the emotion that he showed afterwards had to be impressive.
Well, look, Wilson Contreras has one of the biggest hearts of anyone I've ever met. He really does. He cares so much. He wants to win so much, and he loves his guys out there. He loves being a Cardinal.
Adam, I know you wanted.
Hold on, let's let her go. She's been.
Thanks. I gotta be faster, I guess. When you're walking up and down the seventh there, Adam, what are you thinking of?
Nothing really. I mean, I think, you know, as I got the final out there in the seventh, I'm thinking, all right, I'm pitching 8 and then I'm pitching 9. Ollie knew that. That's why he took me out, because he knew if I went 8, there's no way he was getting me out going into 9. I was not going to let that happen. But I think as I'm sitting there and I feel him walking towards me. You know, peripherally I can see him. You know, and I'm thinking it's probably the right call. You know, probably the right call. But I do remember walking off the field and feeling the crowd. You know, I didn't want to tip my hat or anything because I didn't know if I was done. You know, try to never be done until they tell you you're done, and then maybe fight for it a little bit more. But I did feel that crowd, and it was a special walk-off.
Is there anything in particular that you're going to remember, a moment or a sequence that will really stand out about how impactful this night was for you?
Well, I mean, the first thing when Ollie left me in the game there in the 7th, he came out and leaving me in and just believing in me in that moment. I'll remember that forever. But also, coming, you know, as soon as the 3rd out was made in the 9th, I hugged Jason Shutt and Adam Olson, the 2 guys in the training room that have absolutely helped me, you know, beyond measure. And then going down in the tunnel and seeing the guys, yeah, I'll never forget that.
So you were in the training room for the
Yep.
whole 9 innings?
Yep. Yeah, just doing my routine, you know, keep everything normal until it's time to not act normal.
You thought before that when you're in there, you could hear the fireworks before you see them.
Sometimes you can hear the rumble on the ceiling, you know, when you're inside, and there's a delay on the TVs. And when you're inside and somebody makes a big hit or a great pitch, you can feel the crowd, and you're like, all right, something good happened. What was it? What was it?
Was that that way tonight?
But yeah, I heard a little rumble, and then I'm going, is that it? You know, you're hoping that's not like somebody hit one in the gap and somebody dove and almost caught it, or, you know, but it was, and Ryan did a great job. Hells did a great job for me.
Adam, when you have a career-defining moment like you had in '06, you said that sometimes that's a blessing and a curse because you're constantly trying to top that moment.
Are you serious? Say that again, sorry.
'06, you have a career-defining moment, but sometimes that's a blessing and a curse, was your words, I believe. Does this top, because you've always trying to chase that high again and top
Yeah.
that moment, does this compare?
Yeah, it compares. I'd never call it a curse, but definitely kind of, you know, that first year I thought, oh gosh, we're just going to win the World Series every year, and I'll close it out, and this is going to be great, you know. Do this 20 times, and we'll call it a career, you know. And it's just so much harder to win than I knew. But that was an incredible moment. I mean, the Beltran moment is something that I get asked about probably more than closing out the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight, for me, this is tied for first. Yeah.
What does it mean for it to happen the way it did? Not to be a 5-inning game
Yeah.
where your team scores 12 runs. I know you'd like 12 runs, but where a team scores 12 runs.
Yeah.
What does it mean for it to be the way it was?
Well, I mean, you know, for at least tonight, I was a real pitcher out there, the guy that I want to be, you know. 7 innings, shutout, a couple of hits, got through a couple of tough ABs out there and made adjustments, worked in and out, up and down. And that's the thing, it's my first scoreless outing all year. And certainly my longest outing all year. And, you know, for tonight, I was me.
The anticipation there was in the time from when the game ended to where you came out, fans were chanting Waino, all on the feet waiting for you. You finally get out there, and seemed hard for you to come up with the words. What's going through your head right there, just as you look at the fans, thousands on their feet for you?
I would have had plenty of words. I got no problem coming up with words, except for that I was just bawling, crying like a baby, you know, like gasping for air, crying out there. You know, I hadn't done that in a long time. I don't even know when the last time I did that was, but what a cool thing, you know, to be able to lay it out there on the mound pitching, and then to be able to just be real and be raw out there and just be transparent and let everybody into, you know, into my heart right in that moment. That was special.
What does it mean to you that the Brewers were there?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, the Brewers have been a big part of a lot of big moments for me through the years. And I think I've got more complete games against the Brewers than I have any other team. You know, love pitching there. We've had some incredible battles with those guys on the team since my first year up. You know, Brewers have always been right there with us, and felt comfortable tonight. You know, seeing them across the way and seeing Counsell across the way, where I used to face him as a hitter, and then, you know, you gonna give this interview, bud? No, you stay up here. Stay up here. Oh, jeez. I don't know what's fixing to happen. But certainly, you know, when the Brewers are there, you gotta show up and play. You know.
For them to wait, especially though post game,
Yeah.
to wait for you to come out. How meaningful was that?
Yeah, that was really cool. That's a special thing when a visiting team will honor you like that, and I'll never forget that either.
Wayno, is that moment with Donaldson where Willie comes out, is that just you knowing the pitch you wanted in that spot?
Yeah, and we couldn't hear the pitch comes because of the crowd. He was calling something, and I'm going, I don't think that's what I want. You know, I think I hear sinker. No, I don't think so. But in that moment, you got to know. And so he did a good job coming out there, and there was only one pitch I wanted to throw to him in that spot.
Well, Adam, I think you got a family that's going to
Okay.
want to spend some time
All right.
celebrating with you.
Let's go, Cal.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And thank you.
Amen. Thank you.